Well, I first fell in love with theater, I would say my senior year of high school. Before that, I only really knew film, and I was taking like film classes to like learn how to edit and how to storyboard. But it was difficult for me to like write scripts and screenwriting. I couldn't enjoy it because of all the technical aspect. But I enjoyed acting. So like my final year, I did a play at Jordan High School, and it was really fun, and I enjoyed it. And I still had my mindset on being a film actor, but everyone was telling me like, do theater first because like that's the foundation. I didn't really know what that meant until I went to Cal State Long Beach and I studied theater. And while being there and acting and learning like the process, I realized that in film it's more about like the process is happening while you create the final product, whereas in theater you have this entire process before you even reach the final product, and I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed like being able to like sit with something longer and to like figure out what it is a character wants and what the entire story arc is. So I would say that's like when I fell in love with it, because I fell in love with the process. And when I realized that I had to be a part of it, I would say probably be like my third year at Cal State Long Beach, because that's like when I wrote my first play. And I feel like I had a place now in that community. Whereas when I was just acting, I felt like I was just a piece in something, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I didn't really know how it looked. But when I wrote my first play and realized I can create my own theater, then I was like, okay, yeah, this is what I gotta do. Theater is a unique experience with the audience because there's a direct connection between actor and audience. So they can feel the emotions that are on stage. And whereas film, the disconnect is like being behind a screen. I feel like local theater and regional theater is like the biggest part of theater. It's the thing that a lot of folks are introduced to. A lot of communities don't necessarily have access to larger theater productions. So having local theater productions puts them in the room, teaches them the process, gives them the opportunity to like utilize different skills that they can use just in life in general. So I feel like it's very relevant, and without it, we will be missing a large piece of like audience, because access is a big thing when it comes to theater. I feel like theater and social activism is one and the same. A march, there's something theatrical about that, sharing a space. There's usually someone speaking and there's an audience. So theater just does that in a more theatrical way, using storyline and characters, set pieces, lights, everything. I feel like there's always something political happening to a character. You can't separate someone from the politics of them, which is unfortunate, but I feel like theater utilizes that in a way that can still entertain, that can still connect to an audience. I fell in love with writing, I would say, from a young child. I used to like write children's books and like poems and things for like my family to read. So I always enjoy like storytelling in that way, because I feel like I see art in a very written through language. Like I really like words. I like the way words sound. So poetry was just, something that I feel like was the easiest way to connect through writing. But when it came to playwriting, I fell in love with playwriting when I realized I could develop a character. Like I could see people on the street, in my neighborhood, in my family, and I can take pieces of them and I can create my own character from that. And I feel like that's like a really cool thing to be able to do, to like just create something from nothing and to have that power to develop a story from just a concept is really cool to me. So yeah, I think that just mainly character development and like characters is what really drew me to playwriting. A live mixtape was created my third year at Cal State Long Beach. I wrote it in a month. The play originally was just a bunch of one-off monologues and scenes and songs and rap songs. After developing it, I made the story kind of intersect more because I wanted to play with the idea of a story being linear but not linear. The idea of a live mixtape came from the fact that in hip-hop and in rap music, the mixtape originally was the thing that you would create before you created an album. It was the first step. It was you getting all your thoughts out and putting it in one place. It wasn't necessarily structured, but now mixtapes are more like albums, and they have a full concept. They're usually cohesive. So playing with the idea of what a mixtape was and what a mixtape is now, I want to focus more on what is that inspiration that sparks you to want to create a mixtape. Who are the stories in your life that makes you want to create this song? Who are the people in your life? Where's the neighborhood? What are the things that inspire you? I tried to kind of deconstruct a mixtape and write that. So there's scenes in it. There's characters who interact with each other. There's thoughts. There's people's inner conflict being expressed, because I feel like all of those things is what shapes a mixtape in the end. So it's like playing with both the final product and the process and putting it all in one place so people can see like, oh, okay, so if I was a rapper, these are probably the moments in my life that inspired me to develop the mixtape. So I'm just showcasing the life being lived through the mixtape. The main story arc of a live mixtape is kind of difficult because there's 4 storylines kind of happening simultaneously throughout the play. I would say the central figure that kind of pulls the story together is this character that I wrote named Black. He is a rapper, and he is creating a mixtape throughout the play. So in a sense, he's almost like the playwright telling the story within the story, but he's mainly just a character to pull everyone together and to remind them of like what the message is of the play. The underlying message to a live mixtape is really the conversation of Blackness and what it means to be Black in a neighborhood like Long Beach, California, as well as what it means to be a young person in this time and how young people navigate their insecurities and how hip-hop gives them a place to express those insecurities. I want the audience to get from a live mixtape mostly, I want them to be able to dispel their own stereotyping of the characters. I want them to go in with stereotypes in mind, because I feel like stereotypes are a fun thing to play with and to utilize to push a character in a direction that the audience wouldn't necessarily think that the character would go. And I want them to be able to just hear where these people are coming from and to care about them. I feel like the Southern California community should come see a live mixtape because it is about the Southern California community, about all pieces, not just the piece in which is the cleanest, not just the narrative that is the most focused. It's very messy. It's everywhere, and it's in one place at the same time. So I feel like you'll be able to see your own community being represented.